Good morning, Steeler fans. Hope you had a great weekend. I know it wasn't the best for everybody who's in the city of Pittsburgh, as the Penguins lost last night, 4-3 in overtime. I saw the game. I watched it. I'm not really big into hockey. I'm new to hockey. It's growing on me though. I've watched a couple games and it's pretty interesting. And I saw the game last night and it was went down to overtime. It was exciting. It was a thriller. Something that I will probably continue to invest myself into and start watching a little bit more of. It is definitely intriguing. It's caught my eye. But this is State of the Steelers, so we'll stick to the Steelers. My name is Daniel J, and we're gonna have our daily fix. So today, what I want to talk about is the quarterback rotation in upcoming training camp and how it's going to start. Recently, in a Q&A session or podcast portion of the Brosco show off from the Behind the Steel Curtain, I actually asked them, who they thought was going to be or what the quarterback rotation was going to be at the beginning of training camp, and it was Dave Schofield who said, I believe he said that it was going to be Mason Rudolph. He's the one that's been there the longest and has his tenure. And it was a perspective I hadn't thought about. Well, maybe briefly once, when it first started, when Mitch just came into town and there wasn't, and the rotation was going to be Mitch, Rudolph, and Dwayne. I thought maybe that Rudolph might get that upper hand. But now that we have a potential franchise guy and a number one pick and an investment in the draft in Kenny Pickett, having a three-man race for that position with Mitch, Rudolph, and Pickett, it's gonna be crowded. I recently read an article in which Bill Cowher had stated that he had struggles with a three-man, camp battle previously in his career, and so it'd be interesting to see, what the Steelers are going to do. I think that that window of Mason Rudolph actually having an opportunity to be the starting quarterback, or at least the first string quarterback here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, is that window's closing. I think that he may not even be here in time for training camp or shortly after. It'd be interesting to see if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to waste reps on a quarterback, on a three quarterback competition. You're going to want to get the rookie as much as you possibly can, and or also the new guy that you think that you brought in and that you think that could potentially be that bridge quarterback until Kenny Pickett is available and and um, and a better option for us at QB. Not saying he's not the better option right now. I don't know. Nobody's seen Kenny Pickett actually play in an NFL game yet, and Mitchell Trubisky hasn't taken the field for us. Resumes do speak for themselves. He is a former Pro Bowl, and he also took his team to the playoffs, I believe, 2 years out of his career. And a team that's not wasn't the greatest, or wasn't the greatest coming in, and hasn't been the greatest since he's left. And so he's no easy competition. This is going to definitely be a a true hard competition, and I think that in order to evaluate Kenny Pickett, we're going to have to, and or Mitch Trubisky as being the potential starter for this year, we're going to have to maximize the repetitions, and that's going to leave somebody out. And I think that the fact that Mason Rudolph is only on a contract for this year, Kenny Pickett and the other rookie Chris Olindokun is the other quarterback that we have, that we drafted in the seventh round, are the only two quarterbacks. Oh, well, Mitch is actually signed up for next year as well. So Mason's only on contract for this year. There is a little bit of cap savings. I think it was like $3 million if we cut him. Um, you know, he knows the offense more than everybody. He's been in the offense more than anyone, and so he's a winning quarterback in this league, in with Matt Canada, and at least as a member of the coaching staff. And so I think that he's going to get his time and his chance. And I don't know. Well, no, I think that he shouldn't. And it's unfortunate. I'm not saying that he's not deserving and that he shouldn't be playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers or any of those things. But when you have made that investment in a number one draft pick, and then you've also made the investment in Mitchell Trubisky, the repetitions aren't there. Recently on DK Sports with on the Ramon Foster show, Ramon Foster had broken down, how the reps are and how there's just not that many reps. And so, to get that rotation and to get that rhythm, I don't think it would be the smartest idea to rotate three quarterbacks and whatnot. So it'd probably be in the best interest of the Steelers to either cut him or let him seek a trade somewhere else. I'm not sure what we would get for him. Maybe a 6th-round pick. I'm not sure who would be in the market for a backup quarterback. Maybe Seattle. Maybe man, I wouldn't know. He wouldn't be playing for a starting position unless it was like Seattle, who I think are probably waiting for Baker Mayfield to get cut too. And so, it's one of those things, cutting him now so late into the off season it really isn't fair for him. He's not going to be able to go and get out in there and get a position like maybe perhaps, you know, Washington. He could have been with the Commanders instead of, the Carson Wentz and whatnot. And so it's really not, it's unfair for him. He's kind of getting the short end of the stick on this deal. However, this is a business, and the business is to put, your best foot forward in your investments. And Mason Rudolph has had his opportunity, and unfortunately, he didn't do bad. He just didn't seize the opportunity. He didn't grasp it, and he's always. I think one of the things that really hindered Mason Rudolph was the fact that, similar to last year. So last year, going into the playoffs, the Steeler fans were kind of putting two and two together, or making connections to things of the 2005 season. Saying, hey, in 2005 we went into Indianapolis, we got our tails kicked, we went in back as the last seed in the wild card, beat the Colts and Peyton Manning at the time, and completely upset them the whole 9 yards. And we had to go on a winning streak at the end of the year to even get in the playoffs, yada yada yada. So people were trying to say, hey, you know what, this feels like 2005. This got all those vibes, and we're going into KC, who beat us earlier in the year. We're going to get our revenge, and we got the brakes beat off of us. And so I think that something like that is kind of playing a negative towards Mason Rudolph. Like, he was a guy that they drafted who the Steelers had stated they gave a first-round grade to. And then, and the way he came in, elbow injury to Ben, similar to Ben coming in when Maddox had his injury. You know, that storyline, him being the next guy, yada, yada, yada. Well, he didn't fill in those shoes. And, if we're expecting Kenny Pickett to do what Ben Roethlisberger did in 2004, I think that's almost an impossibility. I mean, that was a great team that was surrounding Ben then. And Ben is there's not that many franchise quarterbacks out there, you know. And so if there was, there wouldn't be so many QBs moving around or whatnot. And with Ben, him being a franchise guy, there's no saying that Kenny Pickett's going to be that guy. And he might look good now because relative to what we've recently seen from Ben, and he might be better than what Ben was. But I don't know if he's going to ever get to where Ben has been as far as his ceiling and where he was at his prime. And so if we're going in with that expectation that Kenny Pickett's going to, go 14 games, 13 and 0, win a playoff game, that's a high bar. And I think the problem is, I think that bar was given to Mason when he came in 2019, and he almost got us to the playoffs. He doesn't get hurt against the Jets. I think we win that game. I think we win the game the following week also. And like Mike Tomlin said, he really tried to get that team into the tournament. I think he would have been successful, and Mason not need to require surgery. I think he broke his shoulder or something, non-throwing shoulder. And so it's unfortunate, but I don't think that there's enough room for a 3-man competition. And I think that that's going to revolve itself, hopefully, before training camp starts. Because if we go into training camp and we, try to entertain this three-man competition, then that's definitely going to take some reps from the other two guys who haven't been here long enough. And those two guys who are just brand new, one of them is going to be our starter this next year. And unless they just feel that Mason Rudolph blows it out the water, I think that's only going to hinder us. But that's just my opinion. And so our question of the day comes from Brittany. Brittany says and asks, what is the deal with the bad blood with Ben Roethlisberger that she's been reading? And I kind of addressed this before, but there's been a little bit of news referencing that since then, and that's kind of referencing it, and which was Kenny Pickett kind of told everybody that Ben Roethlisberger had reached out to him, talked to him about a couple of, asked him if he had any questions, and if he didn't bounce anything off of him throughout the year, he was going to be there for him. And so, with that being said, a lot of people are now just kind of realizing that, I don't think they know Ben, like the fans or the fans of the Steelers and of Ben Roethlisberger. Ben is very sarcastic, and when he was said or was told that his coach and GM didn't want him, that sparkled a lot of rumors and of him being maybe not wanting to retire so soon. But I think what happened was, I think the Steelers informed Ben that they weren't going to extend his contract, and that he knew this, and they had informed him this probably prior to the start of this season. I'm thinking it was probably sometime last season. And there's probably during the conversations where he had claimed that it was his idea to take a pay cut. And I think in those meetings, they informed him that they're going to do the extension, and that was probably going to be their last one. The Steelers, when they let people go, most of the time, that's how they do it. They didn't fire the wide receivers coach. They just let his contract expire. They didn't fire Randy Fichtner. They let his contract expire. Same thing they did with Ben. I think he was aware of it, whether he wanted to play or not. He was told this probably a long time ago. There's evidence of that. Circumstantial evidence. Him telling Najee Harris early on in the season that he's going to need this is probably going to be his last year, and carry him and yada yada yada. But with all that said, with the going away and the that night in Pittsburgh against the Browns and everything else that the Steelers have done for him, I'm not saying that maybe perhaps they kind of forced his hand into retirement, or kind of not forced, but kind of pushed him in that direction. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, this is a business, and Ben Roethlisberger wasn't the Ben Roethlisberger of old. And I don't think the Steelers were going to do what the Giants did to Eli Manning and benching their champion, their hero, the guy that got them their two most recent Super Bowls. And I don't think they were going to do that to Ben this year. They were just going to let his contract expire, and that's what they did. I don't think there's any bad blood. I think that Ben was being a little bit sarcastic when he said that. Maybe he was taking a little bit of a shot. He's been known to do that. But one thing that I remembered was, and it has to do with with a segment later on this week when I talk about the 2005 season, was before that 2005 season began, was Ben was involved in an accident, and where he needed reconstruction on his face and the whole 9 yards. But one thing that most people don't remember or don't recall, or it's not as important as the facial injuries, was he had some damage to his knees. And he said it for many years that he's had arthritis and pain in his knees. Having an injury like that and such severe is going to affect you later on in life. And Ben wasn't as mobile as he's been in recent years. And so I think it was his time to go. And so I think he knew that. I think the Steelers knew that. And I think this bad blood thing is just for clicks and views. And so with that being said, my opinion doesn't change on it. I think that it was just being sarcastic, and um, I hope that Ben was being sincere when he said that Kenny Pickett can call him and bounce ideas off him anytime. Because if Kenny Pickett comes in and starts anytime this year, then he's gonna be doing something very similar to what Ben did. Starting his senior year, starting his rookie year, and getting some advice from a future Hall of Famer wouldn't be bad. And so, I think that the so-called bad blood is just for clicks and whatnot. I hope Ben Roethlisberger attends the alumni game this year and comes back. I'll be attending the Tampa Bay Steelers game in Pittsburgh on October 16th. I think that's the date. Hopefully that'll be the alumni game. I doubt it. It's usually a night game. So, but we'll see. Also, if you guys are interested in purchasing any of the tickets, I have the season opener available. I have the home game against, well, they're all home games. So I have Ravens and the Browns and the Bengals available. I will be also we'll be having a giveaway with the New York Jets seats. The details will be coming out. Basically, you just got to be a subscriber to the show. And hit the notification button, because we're going to be announcing the winner live on July 4th. And if you're not on the live, then it's going to go to the next person. And so we want you to, get notified of all those, ways for you to get entered. And so with that being said, you have to hit that notification button. And so if you're still here, that means you've basically finished the whole show. So please like, subscribe, hit that notification button so that you get the bell. If you have questions about tickets, you can email me at stateofthesteelers@gmail.com. If you want to ask a question for the show, you can either leave them in the comments, Facebook us at the State of the Steelers, and or leave it in the comments here, or you can send it through Facebook message, and we'll go through them. And if we like the question, it'll be on the show. And so, without that being said, guys, I hope you have